going to minimize. Thank you. Well, welcome everybody to Daniel's Downloads. Wow, May 23rd, 2024. For those of you that are in the mix of it with us like we are, it is graduation week. And Anthony, my stepson's graduating today. Very proud of him. But we have a house full and they were all told to leave so we can have quiet and the dogs don't bark. So I appreciate you being here today. We're going to talk today about a new product that we're releasing. It's actually in transit to our warehouse today. So as you'll hear throughout the talk when it's going to be released, but it's in transit to our warehouse today. It's called Optimal Collagen. That's the gist of today's topic. And then we're going to do some summertime protocols because, and I hope you stick around for those, because there's some fun little silver bullets that I had worked with one of my colleagues on just yesterday, and I've worked with him for many, many years, but we like to share these little silver bullets for summertime protocols because the Arizona heat, the New Mexico heat can beat people up. And they come to you with these symptoms. You're like, gosh, I don't know what to do. But actually, there's some things we can do easily and quickly to resolve some of their symptoms. So today's May 23rd, 2024. The statements made in this presentation are not meant to treat, cure, or diagnose disease. For those of you that are new, I am Daniel Benning. I've been with Biotics Research for 26 years. I do these on a monthly basis just to share information. I've always said I've never had an original idea. I share what I learn as I'm out there talking to all of you and what I learned from my colleagues at Biotics Research. So let's dive into the collagen talk. Optimal Collagen, I put coming soon, and I just got the update today. As I said, it's in transit to our warehouse, so it will be available in just a couple days. I was a little premature with this talk, but I wanted for all of you to be you're actually the first to hear about it because it hasn't even been released in any of our emails. Do look for emails on the product, though. You'll be getting those as well from our corporate office, but you're the first to hear about this. So why did I want to talk about this? I guess I'm getting old, and I guess I'm seeing all the social media and all the stuff at the retail outlets about collagen, and they're good. And again, I never claim to be the be-all, the end-all, but I'm a little tired of misinformation. And I'm a clinician by heart, and I carry a nutrition degree. I've been in this industry for over 30 years, and I'm really getting a little bit like, let's be real here. Let's have a real discussion of how things fit in, because I'm not going to name brands. You can ask in the chat box later, but we've studied all of them. And there's a big one in a big box store that sells a lot. It's decent, but let's show you what's different and why to look at something like what we're releasing, okay? So who is the target patient? Main applications. We link of hair, skin, nails, for, as you see in the slide, type 1 and type 3. And that is the most common sourcing in the industry, is type 1 and type 3 collagen. Now you think hair, skin, and nails, and you're looking at my bald head. Maybe I need to try this stuff. I don't know. But that's another story. But here's the real story. Look at the next 2 points. Osteoarthritis and chronic pain. Now, if you're in the aesthetic industry, and that's all you do, type 1, type 3, okay, maybe and I'll show you some really cool studies. But if you're in the chiropractic, naturopathic, MD, any of those arenas where I get the luxury of talking to many of you on a daily basis, you're dealing with a lot of pain patients. You're dealing with a lot of, I'm not against it at all, but the injection therapies for pain and prolotherapy, et cetera, et cetera. So you look at type 1, type 2 collagen for osteoarthritis, type 2 collagen for chronic pain. So be aware of that's the moral of this story, is what's different, and a couple other components as well. So we're not just looking at hair, skin, and nails. We're looking at cartilage tissue, inflammatory responses, using a product like this. So the additional benefits: osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease. Why? Because there's cartilaginous material, the valves. Exercise recovery, tendons, joints, knees. She's listening over here. I know she is. about the knees. I told her to listen in today to my talk. um, so the recipe for collagen production. If you want the full benefits of collagen, you need the three major types of collagen: 1, 2, and 3. Now, we always talk about the bang for the buck. Yeah, the big box store stuff. I've got a picture of it over here. It's a light blue bottle, type 1, type 3. Everybody's taking it, everybody's drinking it. But are you getting the full benefits? I call these things, as you've heard me talk about this before, the bang for the buck. When you're working with your clients or your patients and they say, well, I buy this for this, but are they really getting what they really need? Now, as you see in red at the bottom of this slide, silicon is the collagen glue. Remember this. Silicon is the collagen glue. Another missing component in most of these other products. And we're going to show you, I love this. I learned about this in January. The different forms of silicon and how some are not effective at all and some are very effective. And we took the time to do our due diligence to look into which one is the best. And of course, we want to offer that to you because you need results for your patients. I mean, at one point in time, I was a clinician. You had to get results. So let's look at where it's all coming from. So the major types we've talked about are 1, 2, and 3 correspond to 80 to 90% of the total collagen found in the human body. But here's the location of greatest abundance. Type 1, bone, dermis, tendons, ligaments, cornea. Type 2, cartilage. You'll see some of your sourcing, eggshell, membrane, and chicken sternum. It's the reality of sourcing. Everybody's got those sources. It's no different. Everybody calls it a little bit something different, but in reality, they're all very similar. Type 2 is very hard to source. That's why you don't see it in a lot of products. Type 3, large blood vessels. What do we talk about? Cardiovascular disease, uterus, bowels. So you could use this if you have terrible GI, leaky gut issues. There's collagen components there. But type 1 and 3, the most abundant for hair, skin, and nails. That's the foundational collagens. That's what everybody really knows about. Supports skin elasticity and hydration. Okay. Important for structure of bones, tendons, and ligaments. Hugely important. Increases hair and nail integrity and reduces nail brittleness. Okay. I'm saying that because my wife right here, and I know that's a common thing amongst her friends is nails. They gotta, let's look at strong nails. And that is, by the way, an indicator of health. Always has been. Look at your nails. Are they really brittle? Are you getting the mineral foundation? Are you getting the collagen foundation for those components? So type 1 and 3 is more of the hair, skin, and nails components. Type 2 is the most crucial for physical mobility and function. So typical missing from most collagen products. That's what I was talking about in the market. We've looked at all of them, all right? Because it's not an easy source to get. This is, we're just bringing this to market. It took us a long time to put this all together to find a reliable source of type 2. It's difficult to obtain in the diet. You saw some of those sources. You're not eating those sources. And it's essential for maintaining strong and healthy cartilage. You see this picture of the guy in his bad knee. So all due respect to all the doctors out there who are in the pain industry, and it's a huge industry, but I'm all about, back to the basics, the building blocks, the foundations of nutrition. And this is actually kind of one of them in my book when we look at how we are falling apart. I had a wonderful talk, and I know this person is, I saw her name pop up today, about food. I said this before. You can take all the supplements in the world, but if you're not eating right, the supplements can only do so much. So I know there's a bunch of health coaches on here too, and I really admire you because that's a big component of your practice, is getting these people to eat right. But type 2 collagen sources are not the easiest to find. And if you have somebody with chronic knee issues, this is definitely a consideration for you. So here's the one study I wanted to share with you. Dermatological changes, and I'm going to read this slide because it's actually pretty powerful. After 12 weeks, the 10 grade crow's feet photo scale, didn't know that was out there, by the way, but the 10 grade crow's feet photo scale score, eye wrinkle volume and skin roughness parameters, this is all pretty new to me, by the way, and skin elasticity and skin hydration were significantly improved in the test product group compared to the placebo group. So this was a 50 people control, 50 people placebo, 12-week duration taking a collagen product. And the results were quite impressive. So when we're talking about, as we said, type 1, type 3, hair, skin, and nails, very great improvement. But let's go beyond the skin. We've talked about this just a little bit ago. The most common joint disorder expected to get worse in the coming years, more than wear and tear. And there's numerous risk factors, demographical, metabolic disease, current and past activities. You know, we talk about inflammation a lot. We talk about the inflammatory diet. I showed you that slide. I've talked about it many times. The Golden Arches breakfast, you know, increasing NF-kappa B by 150% for 2 hours from one meal, your inflammatory pathways for 2 hours. So that is what's happening in many of these chronic conditions is, what do we talk about? Food, diet, clean that up. But then you need to put back in the building blocks that haven't been in that diet to help these inflammatory joints. You see the, you know, osteoarthritis on the right and all that inflammation, all that red inflammation. So clean up the diet, but then what are the building blocks, the foundational building blocks? We won't get deep into the weeds on this slide, but here's, you know, when you're looking at labels, maybe have this as a reference. So when you do get the recording, maybe take a screenshot of this or take a screenshot now, because in red, I highlighted this for you. This is the form of silica that's most bioavailable form, okay? That is the one we're going to be using in our product. Many of the products out there don't have that or any kind of silicon in their collagen product. So silicon, the second most abundant mineral on Earth, third most abundant trace element in the human body, needed for optimal collagen synthesis. But look at this line right here. There is a great variation in silica bioavailability, ranging from less than 1% up to values close to 50%, depending on the chemical form. So you may find in some of the products out there a silicone, but it's not a bioavailable form. It's a very cost-effective form, let's say. And please, I'm not here to downplay what's out there. I'm here to help educate all of us, including me, about why, again, the bang for the buck, why to look at something of value. Because some of these people, they come in with their cart of products to you. I'm familiar with this. And they go, this is what I take. And you look at them and you go, are you getting better? Why are you here? So you need to go through that. And this is one of these components is when I'm seeing what's in the industry, it doesn't excite me. So here it is. Here's the collagen glue, the silicone. You see it in the structure here. That is what's binding all of this to make it work. If you don't have that, you can take all the type 1, type 2, type 3 collagen you want. You'll get some benefits, but you're not going to get the benefits you're hoping for or that you could get in a much faster response. So it contributes to collagen architecture, strength, durability, and elasticity of the connective tissue. You need silicone and you need the right form. So it bonds the collagen, elastin, keratin, and proteoglycans. So it's your building block of all of this. You don't have it, you're going to get, as I said, minimal results. And that's what I feel for all of you, because you need to get response to your patients. And they come into you and says, well, it didn't work for me. Well, one, were they compliant? But two, what were they using? And that's where I think as a clinician, being clear about why you choose certain products. You know, it's time that you set those boundaries, because we know, and I understand that people will nickel and dime things, But setting a boundary to say, this is why I chose this product for you because of X, Y, Z, and you've looked at the market and it's not out there. So the orthosalicylic acid, considered the most readily, can I say that? Readily, sorry, available form of silicon to humans. Absorption studies indicated that only a OSA is available and dietary sufficiency is lacking. So all silicon sources are not the same. I'm stressing this because you can review it. We all learn a little differently. Different visuals might help you remember this component. But here it is, the monomeric form, high bioavailability. All right. Here's another visual. Here's the stabilized OSA up the chart, this green line right here. Here's the others. Look at I noticed this one here. It's a horsetail. Everybody says, well, horsetail is a great source of silicon. Like lowest on the curve for absorption.
Hi, this is Sonia. I'm wondering if you know when the harvest.
So questions I'll get to in a little bit. I apologize. I want to keep my time fair for everybody. And I will answer questions at the end, okay? So I apologize for that. So your highest source of bioabsorbable silicon from the solubility. So here's a great visual for you. Stabilized orthosalicylic acid. Your body can utilize it. The other sources out there in the more inexpensive forms is a lot less. All right, you're not getting the bioavailability, so you're not getting that glue for the collagen, for the type 1, 2, or 3 collagen. I love this slide. So here's a great visual for all of you. Many people are drinking bone broth, totally for it, totally for it. But here's an example of how much bone broth you need to drink, equivalent to 4 cups of bone broth per day by taking 1 serving, 20 grams of collagen per serving. So I know, like, if you look at labels, and that's what I really highly suggest we do in these kind of products, look for the silicon, but look for the types of collagen, and then look at the how many grams is a serving. So I'm looking at the one I'm very familiar with, that's at the big box stores. They're 20 grams, but there's no silicon and there's no type 2. So you look at those components, okay? But you need to drink a whole lot of bone broth. And there's other benefits to bone broth, but you got to drink a whole lot of bone broth to get 1 serving of the new optimal collagen. And by the way, a segue side note, for those, because I know there's a lot of you listening in that will have this question. This will be going on my dog's food for their joints as well, okay? Because we do pretty good feeding these dogs here, but I understand we're all busy. And if you look at regular dog food, it's missing a lot of these components. And one of my dear friends, who is an amazing integrative holistic veterinarian, I think would agree with this because we see, or I had this discussion, hip dysplasia and things in animals and joint issues with animals. This would be a great building block component, I believe. So the key clinical benefits of the new product, you see the label on the right here, 20 grams. Here's your silicon, orthosalicylic acid, 10 milligrams. So significant levels of collagen and bioavailable silicon, that's the component. So type 2 collagen, comprehensive blend of all 3 major collagen components, includes type 2. So supports joint health, including mobility and function. I'm not getting any younger. This is going to be part of my program too. When I've already requested a jar. I've tried it, by the way, in January. There's no taste, just like all the other ones out there. We didn't flavor this. You can mix it in your coffee, whatever you like. And then again, 1 serving provides 20 grams of collagen, and it mixes very easily. For those of you that are familiar with other, like our metabolic biome fuel or our metabolic or a hydrolyzed collagen, that's different. Let me clear that up real quick too. So you've heard me talk about our hydrolyzed collagen. That's a beef protein with collagen, okay? This is just collagen, and it's a whole different amino acid blend. The beef protein collagen doesn't mix quite as well because it gels up a little bit. This does not do that because it's just collagen, okay? So here it is. Once we release it, look for that email. But you get 10% off a purchase, single use. Here's your retail price, $69.90. I'm going to break something down for you, by the way. I wrote it over here on the paper. So that one of the big box store brands that does not have the type 2 and does not have silicone in it at all is $2.84 a serving. Because if you look at the label, it's 13 servings in a jar. The Biotics Research brand is $3.49 a serving, but you have type 2 and you have a very bioavailable form of the glue for the collagen, the silicone, okay? So there's your price points, just so you have an idea. Well, really, that's not that much more to get those major 2 other components for overall body health. So I hope that answers the collagen story a little bit. You know, these are short and sweet moments that we have together. I'm seeing Jacqueline taking a lot of notes over here today, so I'm guessing there's some good questions. But let's get into some summertime protocols, okay? As we jump in. So save your questions for this. I'll cover them at the end. I'll make sure I get to them. But let's get into the summertime protocols because it's starting to get hot. And this is a silver bullet I learned years ago. So heat-related exhaustion, postural hypotensive. Your body basically vasodilates in this 100, 110, 115 degree heat. If you're like me, in and out of my car all day long, visiting all of you when I can, it's a little hot. The body gets a little bit postural hypotensive. Your patients, your clients will be coming to you saying, man, I am dizzy. You know, I get out of my car, I get lightheaded. I go into the grocery store, I'm just a little dizzy. This is, in a nutshell, in a fast way to fix, is adrenal dysfunction. They're adrenally getting beat up from this climate of ours. Now, there's so many other factors to this, but I'm giving you the gist of the story. So look at using cytozyme AD. We've talked about this a little bit before. This is our adrenal tissue. Ideally, chew it. It's a tough one, but some people really don't mind it. 2 to 4 tablets throughout the day. Especially people who work outside in this heat, yard workers, construction, God bless them. But this is always in my little cooler in my car during this time of the year. And take a couple cytozyme AD to boost the adrenal glands, help vasoconstrict a little bit so you don't feel so orthostatic hypotensive. You've heard me talk about Bio3BG, the activated B vitamins. Now that sounds like a lot, 6 TID, but sometimes we need a boost because we're highly depleted. They're little bitty tablets size of my pinky nail. That's a great one to add in to give people energy. I've always used this in the afternoon with clients to give them a little boost instead of the 3 p.m. Starbucks. And then one of my favorites, we've talked many times about this, is the electrolyte forte. And I wanted to remind you about it because we cycle with that. You know, winter showed up and we're like, I don't need electrolytes. Well, you always need electrolytes, but I also get it. It's like, how many supplements can you take? But this is a great time of year. Remember, this electrolyte forte, for those of you that are new, is a low sodium electrolyte. Man, I was in an office the other day and they had a wall of one of the retail brands, and it's just high sodium, very low amount of magnesium, very low amount of potassium, extracellular hydration. You can drink all the water in the world you want. You feel quenched short term, but you're not getting intracellular hydration. Electrolyte Forte is a low sodium, higher potassium, higher magnesium for intracellular hydration. There's taurine to get that magnesium into the cell. It's a magnesium glycerophosphate, so it does not loosen up the GI like other forms of magnesium. So look at that as this is one of these silver bullets here. Whatever fits your wheelhouse the best are great for this time of year. Eat too much, drink too much, picnics and parties. The reality. We've got a lot of graduation parties this week and we're going to. This is part of my repertoire. You know, and these came from one of my, I'll call him a mentor. He's a sales rep for Las Vegas or Nevada, Colorado, Utah, Todd Lamb. And Todd and I were talking on the phone the other day and said, you know, these are refreshed me on some of these topics. And I've often thought about using hydrozyme, but he made a really good point. carry intenzyme with you, which is a digestive enzyme. We often think of using intenzyme for pain and inflammation away from meals, right? But this is an easy one to carry in your pocket because hydrozyme's not, it's an acid, right? It's not that easy to carry around because it can get a little messed up in the pocket or whatever. This is just easy to have. 2 to 4 per meal when you're eating this picnic food to help with digestion. As I said, it's easier to carry than HCl. I've carried the betaine hydrochloride tablets around, and sometimes they break, and then it's a mess if you're going out like that. Or you could use bromelain plus CLA, which is the cellulase lipase amylase, the vegetarian source to help digest. And then, not that I'm promoting this, but sometimes there's beverages that are had at these events. And consider, we talked about the Bio3VG, using 1 to 2 for every beverage that you intake to reduce that hangover effect. Because what are we doing? We're washing out the B vitamins, basically. So just try to help you enjoy your events more than have the headache or the gas or the bloating from choosing different foods that aren't normally maybe in your repertoire. And then sunburn prevention. Oh boy, you know, we've got a little bit of sun here. Biodemulsion forte. And this goes back to some really cool studies. I think it was John Cannell, actually, if that name rings a bell to any of you. He's got a hat I haven't looked at lately, a great website on vitamin D studies. But biodemulsion forte, it's 2,000 IUs per drop. 2 to 4 drops the day of for sun exposure. Get the vitamin D baseline into the skin, and you will not have such a sunburn. I also like a little bit of fish oil in there as an anti-inflammatory, about 2 to 3,000 milligrams a day. As an, you know, choose your source. We have Biomega 1000, we have Optimal EFAs, we have different sources of fish oil. And then Todd recommended BioCMP. This is kind of his wheelhouse product. It's a low dose calcium, magnesium, potassium, 1 to 3 tablets per hour for the sun. Again, it's an electrolyte component for hydration and reduce that inflammatory response. And last but not least, allergies. We could do a whole Daniel's downloads on this. We could do a 4-hour talk on allergies and all the different layers of the onion of allergies. But in a nutshell, Histoplex AB, 2 to 3 twice a day. Todd mentioned BioFCTS. This is a product I forget about often, but it's flavonoids with thymus, spleen, and vitamin C. A wonderful little product. Quercetin in there. So 2 to 3 BID. And then BioC Plus 1000. Why is that? Vitamin C metabolizes histamine. So the BioC Plus 1000 at 2 to 4 a day is a great source to bring down that histamine response. I'm sure many of you have your little bitty silver bullets for allergies, but I've just heard of so many different responses lately for people of what's working in the allergy arena and what's not working in the allergy arena. You have to look at the dietary stuff. You have to look at gut health. But basically, if you're new to us or want a quick little protocol, this is a nice one to give people for allergies. So, okay, those are my little summertime silver bullets. Now I'm going to ask you the raffle question. So for those of you that aren't familiar, get to your chat box. Jacqueline's lining up her paper over there. And we are going to raffle off a small bottle of Cytozyme AD. Now, not just for those of you that are going to play this game, not just for postural hypotensive. We've talked about adrenal insufficiency. And remember, one of my favorite pathways to consider, because we see a lot of this, we see a lot of thyroid stuff, right? You have to fix the adrenals in order to get the best thyroid response. Adrenal, pituitary, thyroid axis, that triangle, we are adrenally insufficient. We are exhausted. We are beat up. So really, really evaluate your patients of how well their adrenals are working. All right? So here we go. For the first 3 in the chat box, get a bottle of Cytozyme AD. The recommendation for Cytozyme AD was for what? Assist with the collagen glue, heat-related hypotension, or because they taste good? I'll give you all a few minutes to answer that question. I will tell you, I just added that one. They don't taste good. So we'll take that out of the equation. But I always like to give something away and I want you to try these things. We have to walk the walk. You know, your patients will respect you so much more. Do you have your 3 over there?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So we're already heading off into June, and that's my next talk. And this is a question I get a lot about, is magnesium. So I want to talk about magnesium and more from calming to cardiovascular health. What are the best forms and the best dose? So many different forms of magnesium. We have several different magnesium products. And I'd like to talk to you about why, where, and when, because I get a lot of questions on, well, this company has this form for this, and there's this for this. And I want to clean up the questions and show you again what I like to talk about when I say the most bang for the buck kind of product. So the winners for the raffle, because I always like to be fair so everybody knows who won, and then I will ship those out, is Mia, Bruce, and Mary Ellen. So thank you very much for listening in. Here is my email address and my cell phone number. You are more than welcome to text that number with questions, call me or email me at any time. You know, let me be a resource for you. Again, a lot of you have great questions, and I learn from all of you every day. So Jacqueline, if you don't mind, we'll stop the recording, and I will go into the chat box and answer questions as best as I can.